Hi everyone, welcome to Executive Women in Vietnam, the program that interviews leading Vietnamese and foreign business women, and of course we talk about doing business. I'm your host, Winnie Lam. I'm the Business Solutions Director at AB Horizon. Today, my guest is Ms. Trinh. Ms. Ha is a longtime friend and an ex-colleague. Currently, Ms. Ha is the Asia CFO for Nash Tech in Vietnam. Ms. Ha also sits on the board of Nash Tech in UK, which is very exciting. Not a small achievement, you know. Congratulations for that first.
Thank you.
And welcome for being here. Obviously, you are a CFO and you have been working in the finance side of the business. Vietnam has always been looked at being difficult to comply in finance aspect because we are developing countries. We seems to be a little bit behind. And you have been, number one, you came from Vietnam, so you obviously know about compliance.
Yes.
You have been in charge of Southeast Asia operations, multiple countries. Actually, how do we compare?
It's quite interesting questions. Vietnam, among in the region, still defined as a developing countries. So that's why that once your questions asking about compliance, I'm looking at the compliance from the different view. So with the top-down view, so definitely, we can see more and more positive decision from the government in order to help Vietnam to pick up in the higher level, especially once Vietnam joining in the ACCA and the TPP in a couple of years. Vietnam government has been issue more and more regulation and law in order to help Vietnam integrate with a more international standard. However, a part of that, it contains certain kind of gray area itself, and that's why that it make a bit difficult in terms of the implementation and executions. So it make the compliance is get a bit more difficult, and especially with the changing rapidly of the regulation in law in Vietnam in order to adapt with the developed law as the another international laws. So that's why that the law is create a certain gray area, so it make the execution and implementation is more difficult. So that's the first thing. And the second one is about the bottom up. That is, I'm talking about the awareness of the people. Compared with 10 or 20 years ago, the level of the awareness to get the compliance in Vietnam is much better.
Definitely.
Yeah. However, it's still a kind of big gap compared with the developed countries. Just given the example, like in Singapore or in Australia and Hong Kong, the capabilities, the qualified awareness of the people of the Vietnamese, compared with the different, is a big gap. So it leads to the fact of specifically for some reason, for some small or private company, they try to take the advantages from the gray area to take out from the government. Billions Vietnam dong on the VAT refund is one example. It's clear, and it leads to the fact of once we have less the qualified people, the competency of the people in Vietnam, it leads to the awareness and the fully compliant with the government expected is still the certain gap. So it will take times for Vietnam to moving up in the higher level to get the fully compliant as the other developed countries. The third one is I'm looking at about in the middle level of the people management. Where is the quite thin of the group of the people to monitor and control to get the compliance in Vietnam, and also the bureaucracy of the current, the government stuff. So it leads to the fact of the less competency people in the middle line to monitor and control to get the compliance. So it leads to the certain, it's still kind of the certain difficulties to control the people kind of get in order to convince to get the fully compliant. So it will take the certain couple of years for Vietnam to moving up on the high level. However, I believe that with the joining the AEC and the TPP, it's very clear that Vietnam is going, to get a much more, improvement going forward in terms of the compliance.
I think it's interesting when we talked a little bit earlier, you mentioned that there are more qualified people in the finance field right now. For example, back in the days when you were just starting out, you were a member of the ACCA, and then there were less than 50 qualified people. And nowadays, there's more than 6,000 members of ACCA, in which you also sat on the board. But 6,000 something compared to ACCA members in the region, or even just Singapore or Hong Kong, is really a drop in the bucket. We still have a very long way to go.
Exactly. So, but what I'm saying is about the qualified people once, 14 years ago, just a couple of, 100 people, and less. But compare with, 14 years ago now, much more, 6,000 something, is already kind of the signal to prove of the competency of the young people in Vietnam to get more qualified and be adaptable with the international requirements. But it will take more times for Vietnam, especially for the young people in Vietnam. They will, joining more and go ahead beyond of whatever that they have so far in Vietnam in order to step up out of the Vietnam to reach in the high level. But it will take time.
Yeah, definitely. I would look at it this way. We were just saying that you now sat on the board of NASDAQ in UK.
Yes.
All right. How does a finance person in such a small country get to that position? Is that especially I don't think a lot of people realize that NASDAQ have a working population of more than 1,500 in country already. And obviously, by having you on the board, they have some ambitious plan for Vietnam.
Exactly. 4 years ago, once I just joined NASDAQ, Harvey Nash at that time, we just have around 500 people. But after 4 years, it come up to 1,600 now. And the vision from now to the 2020s is 5,000 people.
5,000, that's a huge number.
Yes, that is our vision in Vietnam. And it's really exciting for me as a woman joining in the board in the UK. Whereas my majority is men, but what I can see and observe our voice, not only about the finance but also about the different business perspective, is really adding value to the business from many aspects. So that is proof one thing, the women can do the great thing as the men.
Yes, not to mention you are a mother of 2.
Yes, 2 daughters.
You have 2 daughters, so you have a full-time job. You have 2 daughters that you care for, and you travel from place to place. Do you find it difficult?
To be honest, it is. It's not easy one, especially Vietnamese woman. So Vietnamese woman is not as lucky as the Western one in terms of the sharing the burden in the stuff at the home. So what I can do is it's all about the planning. So how I can handle for the kids and how I can buy in my husband to give a hand and scheduling and things like that. And then the rest of the stuff in the company, majority of my time is back home, is with my kids. And that is the reason why that I can handle both the business at home, but it's really tough. And sometimes, but one great thing is, regardless of how hard that I have been in the company, once I'm back home, fully dedicated to help my kids with education, and also set my time for myself.
Wow, you even have time for yourself. That is admirable.
So that is the one thing that I can see that I make the difference compared with the others. Very, strictly every morning from 5:30 to 6:30. That is the exercise aerobic. So it's gonna give me charging the energy
Mm-hmm.
to balance my really hard work during the day.
Mm-hmm.
1 hour for doing exercise, another half an hour for listening to the music. So that is a great starting every morning. So it's kind of motivates me every morning.
I will make sure I don't call you between 5:30 and 7 in the morning.
Yeah, thank you. That is my own time.
All right.
Yeah.
Then you get the kids ready for school
Yes.
before you go to work yourself.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, we mentioned that you sat on the board of ACCA,
Yeah.
and it's part of your way of giving back to the community that has helped groomed you to what you are today. So tell me a little bit about the work that you work with the new generation of finance and accounting professionals.
Yeah. So I found that myself is quite lucky. Once just started my career with the Big Four, BWC, and then I have the chance to take the ACCA course and be the qualified. Once the qualified people in Vietnam is just less than 50. Yeah. So the most important for me, once I step out of Vietnam, I came to Hong Kong, Singapore, Australia. When I come and see, talking to them, and I say, okay, I'm qualified people. And the recognition from the party, from the Deloitte, from the tax consultant in developed country, they look at me with a different view. So that proved that the ACCA is kind of the passport for me to go everywhere. Yeah. So what I did have, the value from the ACCA, that I really want to share to other young generation in Vietnam, to try to get kind of the certificate in order to let them to go out of Vietnam and be proud with the international qualification. So what I did when I joined the ACCA board is I joined the presentation. I came to the universities in Vietnam and shared to them about what ACCA can help me to be succeed. And recently, I joined very interesting the career day with the 360-degree succeed with the ACCA with more than 4,000 people in Vietnam, and talking about the smart finance. What is we make a difference, and have the face-to-face, the dating CFO corner with the young generation who are just currently the student or the new fresh graduated, or they can work for 1 or 2 years. We can give or sharing and giving the advice for the young generation that how the ACCA can help and what is the career path the young generation could take to help them to overcome their current challenge in terms of their not confident, they are not ready on what do they need to do in the next couple of years if they do have the dream or something like that. That is what is via doing and support that kind of event. I can see that really adding value for the young generation in Vietnam.
Okay, so you do exercise, you spend time for yourself listening to music, you take care of your kids, you have a full-time job, not just managing Vietnam business, but in the region and for the head office in UK, and you do additional, I don't want to call it charity work, but development work for our younger generation. Do you have time for anything else?
Yes, I do.
Like
because my passion is not only about the work, but also that I love myself. So I need to spend certain time during the month to take care of myself, fashion, hair, nail. That is the kind of the making me more motivated with the different things, and also in my job. Basically, I don't like the regular one every day, similar like every day. So that's why I giving the message to team. Hey, what do we do different? What is our improvement we can do, and how we can think differently? It's some kind of all about the positive thinking. So it's drive myself. It's out of the very own zone for the people in the finance.
Yes, finance people don't usually pay so much attention to their appearance. I'm not saying that they're not taking care of themselves, all right? But we always boxed our finance person a
Yes.
certain way.
Boring one?
Yeah, they're a little bit boring, you know, they're a little bit more rigid
Yes.
because they are more looking at, you know, because with numbers it's only right or wrong. There's no
Black and white.
Yes, black
Yeah.
and white. There's no in between.
Yes.
So we always, you know, pigeonhole our finance people to be that boring person. You definitely not one of them.
Yes. So I sometimes ask myself, is it the right, select for me to go with the finance? But start with the finance area is a great thing. But what I can see is I'm moving myself is out of the zone for the box of the finance. That's why that a part of my job currently, I'm working with the chairman of the strategic for the NASDAQ. That is very exciting to me to move out.
Not to mention, we are not talking about just business in Vietnam. We're talking about a much, much bigger scope.
Yes.
Harvey Nash Group being a public company.
Yes, correct.
This is extremely encouraging, and I think that you have been very humble saying that you're lucky. I'm sure there's a lot of hard work behind it, and knowing that we have people in Vietnam through hard work can achieve what you achieve is extremely encouraging for our newer generation.
Yeah.
I think our newer generation is much luckier. You know, they have
Exactly.
much more exposure. They have companies like NASDAQ to consider, and they have CFOs like you who are able to give them more guidance in their career. Well, I hope that I will see many more of you in the future, people who have achieved international success with companies being Vietnamese. It will not be a legend anymore. You're almost legend right now. Just because of the scarcity of the opportunity, you know. And I think internationally, Vietnam talents are being recognized more and more. And definitely, I am sure, through demonstration of individuals like yourself. Well, thank you very much for sharing with me today, huh?
You're
I wish
welcome.
you all the very best in your new position. So that's all for today. Thank you for watching Executive Women in Vietnam. And until next time, I'm Winnie Lam, your host of AB Horizon, your Business Solutions Director. Thank you.